She's no longer a victim of the self being like putting herself down because she's craving the approval from others. She is loving herself deeply and accepting herself because she's been able to rewire where that muck came from. I'm just in awe, in gratitude, and I just have so much pride for the work that I'm doing with my clients, and just like so proud and excited for them and like what they're accomplishing. There's this shift that happens about 3 months into the work with my clients where they have identified specifically those experiences in their childhood that shaped how they love and how they earn attention, appreciation, approval from others. And so they've pinpointed with me these patterns that were formed between the ages of 6 and 10. And we do the work together to energetically discharge them from the nervous system, like deep rewiring of the nervous system with somatic work. We pin down the beliefs. We write a new operating system with the brain. We get the body synced up so that the body's no longer running the show. And so what happens when life happens, when these triggers come up, my clients have enough space between themselves and the world, this buffer. So it's a combination of that deep energetic work along with the daily work to where when something happens in everyday life, like my client just shared that there's a big executive meeting. CEO went through a couple of her slides, and these slides like were really important. CEO essentially like ripped these slides apart. My client was like, oh, before I was just like drifted into a pile of nothingness. But she could feel in that moment exactly what was happening. She could feel her nervous system just like constricting, the pressure in her chest, her racing mind, and she could immediately go back to that experience that shaped that pattern and give little her the love in the moment. She could breathe through it, she could see it, and she avoided going into the spiral just thinking she was absolutely terrible and the dumbest person on earth. She could see it from a mile away and handle it in the moment. She could take the feedback, metabolize it, implement it, and then she could move on with her life. But what's so critical is that you have enough space to feel it coming. You have the tools in the moment. You have the awareness of where it came from. So she gave me 3 of these examples on this call. One was around parenting, a few around work. And it was like literally 45 minutes of her telling me how she is so self-aware and how she could dance through these triggers, and like she is just lit up. Like she's no longer a victim of these triggers. She's no longer a victim of the self being like putting herself down because she's craving the approval from others. She is loving herself deeply and accepting herself because she's been able to rewire where that muck came from. And so I say all that to say, wow, it feels fucking amazing to experience another human like that. Just like having such immense pride. It just, like, what gets me so excited, like overwhelmed with joy, is to see that client have so much pride and so much power in how she shows up. Because what's happening is she's been able to grieve those deep wounds. She's grieved those wounds so much, and she's able to wrap her mind around them. And here's the deal in life. And here's the deal with feeling that pain and getting out those emotions. The more we're able to feel that pain, the more we're able to sit in that grief and cry and release those emotions, that directly ties to our capacity to love. In other words, the more you feel grief, the more you're able to love. That flex downwards into the depths of sorrow is also your ability to flex upwards. So that's what I'm feeling with her. It's like this ease, this flow, this love, this ability to love herself harder and her kids harder and everyone around her because she got that muck out of there. Ugh. Thank you for listening to this, and thank you for just sharing in my clients' wins and just the deep inner work that they're doing. If you're curious about this work, hop into my DMs, just message the word rewire.